and then they are going to change to red, which means they're now in history. So we're going to build up with every 20 years an overlay of all these 548 battles. So now then, if we could play the first movie. Bang, the first 20 years. Look how fast this is happening. Battle after battle. And notice something. Islam is projecting power across the oceans, or the Mediterranean. Most people, when they think of Islam, think of Arabia, they think of deserts, and they think of camels. But this is the projection of naval power. Look how quickly North Africa fell. The invasion of Spain is there. And battle after battle every 20 years. Now, one of the things that's happening with these invasions of the islands and invasions of the coastlines is there's going to be 1 million Europeans captured and taken into slavery. Think about that. This is not a history that most people like to think about or even know. You will notice that it is relentless. It is ceaseless. It goes on and on and on. Why is this? Because all of this was an imitation of Muhammad, the supreme warrior. He averaged an event of a battle every 6 weeks for the last 9 years of his life. He was relentless, and the jihad was relentless. Now what's going to happen is, the green is going to disappear in Spain. And look what's happened now. We're past the fall of Constantinople, and now then the Balkans are being hammered. And as you probably well know, they're going to get up to the gates of Vienna. This is the maximum expansion. And by the way, there are many battles going on in Africa. There are battles going on in Pakistan, Persia. I focus the ones just on the classical civilization of Europe. They have been criticized by Hindus and Zoroastrians and Buddhists that I have not included their battles. And what I tell them is, if you'll put together the database, I'll put it on my map. But I became exhausted by the work. Okay. Next slide. This is what I call the destruction of classical civilization. Next slide. Now what I've given you here is an exercise in quantity. This is the number of battles, but what I want to do now is, there's a history of suffering that's going on here. So I then took and put together, these are sort of news of the day for century after century, because we not only want to understand how many battles there were, but what was the quality of this work. And so here we have the 7th century. The Jazima tribe was, Muhammad sent Khalid, the sword of Allah, to the Jazima tribe to offer to them an invitation to come to Islam. They said, no, we don't want to do that. So he destroyed them down to the last man, woman, and child. Then we have an event in the Battle of Oasis in Iraq, where after the battle was over, Khalid, the sword of Allah, brought forth the chieftain who survived the battle and brought forth his wife. He then cut off the chieftain's head, soaked the blood, and then took the wife and raped her on top of the blood of her husband. It turns out that we will study a little bit about the doctrine of jihad, and it includes the doctrine of the rape. Here we also have that the Jerusalem fell, and Christians and Jews were made dhimmis. These are sort of not a half-citizen, semi-slaves. In the next century, notice something here. I start here by saying that this is the 1st century of the Golden Age. Surely all of you have heard of the Golden Age of Baghdad. So the next few centuries, I'm going to show you what was happening, not only in quantity, but the quality of what the expansion of the Golden Age was. So, Islam moves to the east. There's attacks on in Hindustan. 26,000 Hindus die in one battle. Then in Armenia, the bishops and nobles invited the Muslims to have a debate. After the debate was over, the Muslims pushed everyone into the church and burned down on top of them. In Ephesus, 7,000 Greeks are enslaved. Next slide. There was an order from the Caliph, the ruler of Islam, to destroy all new churches. At Amorium, there was massive enslavement of Greeks, and the Egyptian Christians revolted over the jizya. The Copts, these are the Coptic Christians who are suffering today. So this is the beginning of their suffering. The jizya was the tax